honestly, WWE needs to decide if NXT is a developmental brand or not. Since NXT's creation, the idea behind the black and gold brand has always been for it to be a developmental territory with the aim to help prepare talent for the main roster. However, since NXT moved to the USA Network about a year ago, many people, including Triple H, have noted that the show is no longer a developmental show and is instead a third brand in WWE. Despite this, it's become clear over recent weeks that this is not necessarily the case, with talent being called up to Raw and SmackDown seemingly out of nowhere, including mid-storyline in the case of Tegan Nox. If WWE really do consider NXT the third brand, then call-ups should only take place during the draft or superstar shake-up. And if it does still consider NXT just a developmental brand, then that's fine. But they need to format it like they used to, where they build superstars ready for a call-up and do it in a natural way instead of seemingly out of nowhere like they've been doing in recent months. What's your thoughts on this, Kota? Do you agree?
So I see what you mean, and I think that the main event scene in NXT is they try to treat the main event scene as if it's Raw or SmackDown. But they have a lot of young talent like Carmelo Hayes, who just debuted against Adam Cole, and in that sense, they do use a lot of young talent or talent that isn't very well known to the majority of the audience. I think that one of the reasons that they try to get away with calling themselves developmental still, even though they don't use that term, is because the lack of ratings for the show. I mean, compared to Raw or SmackDown, it's not even it's less than half of what Raw is, and Raw's ratings aren't very good right now. So I think that them calling themselves developmental, in a sense of we bring in young talent and they still go up to the main roster, helps them a little bit. But I agree with you that it should just be one or the other and not trying to be both at the same time, because that can hurt the product. In that, well, if they're not developmental, then why are their wrestlers leaving and just like they don't have a replacement for them, basically?
Yeah, I agree there. And I just the fact that there's call-ups being out of nowhere as well. I think it might be the case of NXT. Inside NXT, they do consider themselves, and I think this is quite clear as well. Like, of how they book themselves. For the most part, they do consider themselves a third brand. They book long term, and everything they do, every title loss, even it's usually they have storylines down the line for them. But in the case of, like, it seems to be the main roster themselves, Vince McMahon and his team, who don't consider NXT the third brand. And instead, due to this, they simply send talent, they call talent up out of nowhere, not during a draft, not during anything, it just mid-storyline, like the Tegan Nox thing. I was really looking forward to the Tegan Nox storyline in NXT, the return. They built it up for weeks with a charging battery, and now she's gone. And I mean, seemingly the storyline's been dropped.
Yeah, she had that thing with Candace, because
Yeah,
Candace is the person who injured her apparently.
yeah.
So I thought that they were really going to go somewhere, maybe even like have a takeover match with each other. But I guess they're not going to lead to that.
I didn't actually see the entirety of NXT this week. They didn't feature it at all then, did they?
They featured Candace whenever Indy came out to help Dexter after
Yeah.
he had the match with Santos, but that's the only way that Candace and Indy were on TV this week. And Tegan wasn't even mentioned, I don't believe.
It's frustrating, it really is. Shotzi Blackheart, I'm not annoyed at that at all. I think she's gonna be a great fit for the main roster. She's unique and everything. And I'm not even against Tegan's call-up. I'm just against the timing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, if they want to do call-ups, that's fine. But wait, well, apparently they moved the draft for another month now until October. But
And
it's
Tony
completely...
Storm also. Storm was also in a feud with
Oh, of course.
Sarai.
Yeah. Of course she was. Yeah. And it's very frustrating. And apparently they moved the draft now from the original. It was going to be originally in September. Apparently now it's going to be in October instead.
Mm-hmm.
So why, if they want to do call-ups from NXT or whatever, they should have just put the draft in September and waited a month. And you can have, then Tegan and Candice go at it to take over. Shotzi finishes up whatever. Well, she didn't have much going for her, but then it's in more of a natural way. Then Mandy Rose coming down to NXT, which she's done. That would seem more natural as well.
And Aaliyah going to Raw randomly.
Pardon?
Aaliyah went to Raw for Mandy Rose
Yeah.
at NXT, so that was extremely out of nowhere.
I mean, Aaliyah hasn't done much in NXT whatsoever, unfortunately, and she's been okay. I think she's been very underrated at times, and she's now getting called up the second she's over. She's over with the CWC crowd as well, which is a bit of a weird one. Mind you, they'll probably turn on her in a couple of weeks, like they always do with everyone anyway. So maybe her getting called up isn't a bad thing. But Mandy Rose down to NXT, I'm not mad at that. I think that Mandy might surprise a few people. However, the big standout thing, but they did have an interaction saying this, is the similarities between her gimmick and Taya Valkyrie's gimmick. I've completely forgotten her name in Frankie Monet.
Frankie Monet, yeah.
That's her name in WWE. But they seem to acknowledge them meeting each other, so maybe they've got a plan for that. If they do, fair enough. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see where it goes. And Mandy did feel like a big deal when she appeared on NXT this week. So again, I'm not mad at that.